Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Tara After Hours. What's up? I'm being silly. Just making sure my microphone is working. Um, Today is an interesting day, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. I think I've got the cooling my apartment down. I think so. It's still 79 degrees in here, but it's over 90 outside. And my bedroom is at about 69 degrees. For some reason, I'm not getting the air out. It's not like I shut the door, but I even have the tower AC unit on in here, and it's still not pushing. I don't know, but we're not going to worry about that. Today, we're going to talk about achieving goals and getting what it is that you are wanting out of your life. And I was inspired by this I've mentioned the name before, Jason Bashir's of Archaics. Now, I know I'm going to send you to his video. I want you to go watch him. He's really smart, okay? The thing is that I feel like a lot of people that probably are attracted to this channel are Christians. And I totally love that. He's not a Christian. I don't believe so. Maybe he is, but I don't believe so. So I want you to be discerning when you go and watch his video for a couple of reasons. First of all, don't allow yourself to get defensive. Kind of goes back to what we were talking about, what Chase Hughes was talking about the other day on that video, where he was saying, question, where are those notes? I wrote everything down. Oh, it's right there on the page right there. Um, Question your own dissonance, okay? You will be able to biblically back this stuff up. I know this. I am not going to bring you scripture right now to back it up, but I just want to put that out there as like a disclaimer. I don't want you to turn what you're hearing off because you don't think he's telling you the truth. I do believe he's telling you the truth. And what I'm going to say to you, I believe, is telling you the truth. And you can discover it. Just go to Proverbs 31. That's that's all I'm going to throw at you right now. But there's a lot of evidence for this in your Bible. Okay, so that's my Christian disclaimer right now. So what he was talking about is that he felt that he finally found the formula for manifestation. Um, Manifestation. Some people will be like, "Oh, that's some hokey pokey law of attraction stuff." And unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, but law of attraction is not hokey pokey. It's it's rooted in biblical things. And I actually had a friend. I'm going to go off a little bit here. A friend of mine, she's a wonderful Christian lady up in Canada. And we used to talk a lot about the law of attraction. And one day she said to me, I'm just starting to feel like the law of attraction isn't really biblical. And I said, are you not reading your Bible? And she was like, oh. And I'm like, it's discernment is what you need right now. There may be someone you're learning about manifestation from that isn't biblically proper, but that doesn't mean that what they're saying is not true. Um, it's kind of wild. So I just want to kind of give you that preface. I don't know. I mean, 4 minutes of this preface is kind of silly, but whatever. I want to talk about it in the sense of goal setting and attaining. And manifestation is a thing, it's constant. Exactly where you are right at this moment, sitting down right where you're at, is a manifestation. You did that. A lot of people find a hard time with that because they don't want to take responsibility for anything that's uncomfortable. and it's just the facts. You know, yesterday I was talking about, I think I was starting to bitch about in the future, I don't want to have to walk up the stairs into an attic apartment, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, what am I doing when I was pouring the water? Like, why would I even be pissed off about that? And then I realized all these little things were going on. The fact of the matter is, the only person that signed the lease on this apartment was me. I did not see it sight unseen. I did look at it in the winter. Okay? So all of this is exactly what I created. As a matter of fact, like when I'm looking at the screen because I have it like selfie mode, and I see these patches in the ceilings, and the landlord said, if you want to paint, you can paint, but I'm not going to paint before you. You can paint. You tell me how much it costs, and I'll pay you. I never had the time or the physical wherewithal for that, so it didn't happen. So I'm not mad about those patch marks at all. I actually take really good care of my walls. I wash them. I mop them. Um, so wherever you are right now, as painful as it may be, is a result of a series of decisions that you've made. What I want to discuss with you right now are a series of decisions that you can make now that can bring you to where you actually want to be. A lot of us manifest by default, just completely by accident. We look at a lot of outside influences and they influence us. And yes, there are demons out there that influence. There are negative entities that are trying to cause us to have uncomfortable lives. They're out there. The facts, though, are they have no power on you, and that's evident by how hard they try. They just do not. They're nowhere near it. They are nowhere near how blessed and highly favored you are. And that's part of their thing. But we're not going to talk about their thing so much. We might bring that back up, but I wanted to talk about goal setting and achieving. We could set goals all day. We could write down lists of all the things that we want. It would be really great if you got more narrow on that. So I'm going to give you your first step to actually achieving the goals that you have in your life. The first one is to make a decision of where you want to be. I'll give you a quick example. I am embarking on a ketovore, carnivore style diet for a couple of reasons. Number one is to heal my body after 50 years of kicking its ass. Number two is to look better because I'm a little vain and I want to be a little prettier. Number three, and these are not in the same, the number one is the health. The other two are interchangeable. I also want to be more physically capable. So at this point in my life, with the pain that my body's feeling, I have a very difficult time going for walks, even a walk. Like for me to go to Walmart right now and just walk around there would kick my ass. Now I can do it, which is wonderful. I'm not, my mobility isn't so shaken that I can't do it. I don't have to have a cart. I don't have to have a walker. I don't have to sit in a battery operated cart. But I don't want to be in any of those things. And I know that I am too young to feel this old. So all that right there is me manifesting this way of eating that I'm doing right now. What is that going to get me? It's going to get me exactly what I want. It's going to get me exactly what it is I'm looking for. And there's going to be all sorts of tests from the others that are going to make you think that it's not working, that are going to make you think that it's not worth it. And remember yesterday I talked about when the pain of staying where you are is greater than the perceived pain of where you might be going, you'll never change. Okay? So now we want to make a decision. You want to make a decision about certain things, where you want your finances or your abundance to be, where you want to live, what kind of work you want to do, what your body's going to feel like, what kind of food you're going to eat, um, all that fun stuff. You want to really make a decision, and yet you might want to write that down. I want you to be very careful here on that point, because I almost feel like a vision board is probably better. To have a great imagination with that is really good. So if you can write down those things and attach to those things a feeling of anticipation and joy, gratitude, and just know that's what it is. And then when you come to a time where it's quiet, maybe just before bed in your evening prayers, um, maybe in the morning before you start your day, or both. I don't know about both. I don't think you need to do this a lot. I think you just need to make a decision on one thing, and do this, and then move on from it. We are insatiable humans. And we have all this free will and all this fun stuff that God gave us. It's exciting. We came here on purpose. Okay, we are humans, and we are basically we're God realized in human form. It's nuts. And I don't want you to start self-worshiping or anything, but I do want you to take really good care of yourself, because I am very convinced that we're all together on this, and that no matter how separate we seem from one another, we really are the same. We really are. And we are in direct connection and part of God. And what you want is part of being here, and you're allowed to want it and have it. So you make your decision. This is where he had it break down into two things. I thought that was just not enough. His first one and my second one is, and this is, I say this all the time, it's biblical. Know it from the end. Like God knows it all from the end. From the end, he knows it all. And so should you. So you take your time in the evening, quietly, purposefully, at a meditation, sit out in the woods, in the morning with your cup of coffee, writing in your diet, whatever, however you go about really focusing and relaxing. I want you to imagine as if you're having a memory of achieving that goal. If you're being nostalgic about that goal being already achieved. Practice that as long as you need to. Shouldn't take too long. One time is ideal. You could break this down into a really small achievement so that you can prove to yourself you can achieve anything. Start small, then maybe throw a big one out there. Just keep going. You're going to see. If you act and imagine yourself reminiscing about achieving the goal that you desire to achieve and how good it felt the day it happened, that time right up until when it happened, and the anticipation of that day. That's what I want you to practice in your mind. And I don't think you need to practice it a lot. As a matter of fact, if you constantly think about anything you desire as if you don't have it, you are literally putting the brakes on it. What? Let me see. I think I wrote it down. The active desire of the goal that you want to achieve and not being there yet, if you are consciously telling your brain, but it's not here yet. If you are consciously looking at your external input and making a decision that you haven't achieved your goal, you're stopping it. The strong desire for something to constantly be the level of emotional intensity that you have about a thing will keep that thing from you. I think you could probably look at your life in some sort of situation and understand. How about this? Have you ever bought a lottery ticket? This is a good one. You buy a lottery ticket. Maybe you're one of those people that'll sit down and look at what that payout would be. Maybe you already know who you're going to call to build a trust so that you can claim that lottery ticket in an LLC or in a trust name. And maybe you've already decided who you're going to buy a house for. Maybe you've decided you know where you're going and you're just going to disappear. Maybe you might have all of the thoughts about what will happen when that lottery ticket is cashed in and when you've won. And you build all these ideas that maybe you don't know. Maybe you're just like, I don't care. When it comes, and I'm going to go nuts. Maybe you already have the car that you're going to drive picked out. Maybe you already know the house that you're going to purchase. Maybe you already know where you're going to send your kids to school. Maybe you already know all the details. Either way, the day comes after you've purchased the ticket and you've put all this thought into this ticket, and you go to the store and you actually have them scan it. And it comes, you hear the little machine say, sorry, not a winner. There's a reason why it said, sorry, you're not a winner. And isn't that something to say to you? Some machine? Some self-inflicted tax determining that you're not a winner? What the? What? What if instead of imagining that you might win, what about imagining that you have won? Whether you're the detail person on that lottery ticket or not. The minute that you've won it, guess what happens? Think about this. You might be excited for a couple minutes. You might be excited for an hour, maybe even a whole day. Maybe, who knows what you'll do? Who knows? But then it's gone. The excitement for it's gone. Now you got to work. Now you got to be the vessel in which God's wealth is going to live properly through. Now you got all this responsibility. You didn't think you even needed. You thought being rich was easy. Now all of a sudden you got to have a lawyer and a trust, and you got to be careful who you tell, and you got to tithe, and you got to figure out where your tithing is going to go to. All of a sudden, the most common decisions that you used to make are now very complicated because you make stupid moves. If you move around your new billionaire life like the person that could barely get their bills paid, you're going to lose it all and you know it. So now you got to get educated. You got to figure it out. The thrill of winning the lottery is completely gone. And this brings us to Jason's second and my third thing. And this, I'm telling you, matters an awful lot in this. And I'm hoping that you have some time in your life where you can recognize that this happens. I kind of already hinted towards it. But when you finally achieve something that you want, you kind of got to have a very aloof attitude about it. Like it's not really a big deal. It's not a big deal. Of course I was going to win the lottery. I've known that since I was a little kid. It's not news to me. Of course I was going to drive that. I always wanted one of those. It's not news to me. We're designed to do it that way. We're designed to achieve our goals in such a way that we are grateful and reminisce about getting those things, achieving those goals before it happens, putting it aside, not dwelling on it, not obsessing about it, not thinking about how you don't have it yet, really doing your best to train your mind to go back to the space where you're remembering how good that day was. And then once it's achieved, you just know, okay, that's called faith. Faith. You being hyper aware that you don't have something is called fear. You can't have both at the same time. And the only way that you're going to achieve your goals is with faith and hard work. And I'm not talking about that hard work is the reason why you should have something. Hard work is a result of your determination to reach your goals. You could be a hard worker and have zero plans for your life and be broke as a joke. You being a hard worker doesn't make you a more moral person. Hard work without a dream, without your goals, is just hard work. It's just a 12 pack of beer every day. It's just sitting in your lounge chair on Sundays watching the game and getting drunk and getting pissed off that the kids are running around while you're trying to watch your football. So basically, what he was saying, and this is true, if what it is that you're trying to achieve is truly yours, like that's a thing that you really want with the core of your body, your mind, your soul, and your heart, it takes no effort whatsoever to maintain it. It just doesn't. You may be human and may have times where you're like, oh, and you do that little skip in your head. Recognize that for what it is. It's probably something that you want to let go of. Reality responds to your inner identity and your projected identity. Your inner identity and your projected identity. So if you want to be a wealthy doctor, you should behave the way you believe a wealthy doctor would behave. If you want to be anything, pick it. Research people that are what you are hoping to achieve in your life. And then research how they are morally in their lives. It might freak you out. You might see, you might want to be a wealthy doctor, and maybe you're even going to med school already. Maybe you're about to do your internship, but you feel like you're struggling, and of course you are because that's brutal. And then you look into it and you're like, wait a minute, and maybe one of the doctors at your internship says to you, dude, if you prescribe these drugs, these two things right here, dude, you're going to get bonuses. If everyone in your practice is inoculated or vaccinated, you're going to get bonuses. Maybe that's not who you wanted to be. Maybe you could be a more wealthy doctor by not being that. Maybe you're going to set a new standard for what the morality of a certain situation is. And it could be anything. It could be anything. You could be a restaurateur running a business. And do you want to be the guy that always pays the health inspector? You know, just make sure you have a nice envelope nearby, make sure it gets on the inspector's clipboard. Or do you want to be the one that actually has a safe restaurant for your people to come and eat at? You're going to have to pick who you're going to be. And having one thing doesn't mean that you're going to be bad. So being a doctor doesn't mean that you love your kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies. It also doesn't mean that you want the best for your people. Both exist in your goals. You've got to decide who you want to be in those goals. Because even if you want to be the bad guy, you're still going to be able to achieve them. Isn't that crazy? That's the plane of Earth. That's where we are. That's your free will. That's going to build your character to the point where you know who you really are. This is a really great thing that Jason said. Once you don't need external, once you do not need external validation, you experience exactly what you desire. When you're not afraid to move forward towards your goals, and trust me, the first half of my life, there are so many times that I was afraid of going for my goals because of what other people thought, because I had a hard time with validation. If I didn't get validation, I didn't do it. I needed to have it. Like I told you before, I was a single child of a single mother. And daddy figures, man, if I couldn't get the attention of a strong male adult figure in my life, I wouldn't do it. I'll give you an example. I used to go to ballet classes, and there was a gentleman teaching the ballet classes, and he was excellent. He was excellent. He had a resume. He wasn't just teaching rich kids in the Hamptons how to do ballet, although some of the kids were rich. I just wasn't. And my mother would do whatever she could to make sure I had what everyone else had. She worked two jobs, full time, back to back throughout my entire life. I loved ballet and I was good at it. And I never felt like he thought I was. I never got that quick wink, like, you got this. He didn't have to praise me in front of everyone, although that would have been great. But I didn't get any validation from him at all. I could never be sure if I was doing a good job. And he was the authority in ballet that I had at the time that could be the one to tell me if I was doing a good job or if I needed to improve something. So when it came time for my mom to re-up, I'm like, you know what, Mom? I don't want to do ballet. She's so stressed out about money. She's relieved that she doesn't have to pay for ballet now. I don't know even how old I was. I could ask my mom, but she's not here. I'm thinking about 11, maybe 11, just before the shit really hit the fan in my life. Um, Fast forward to the shit hitting the fan in my life in high school. I was a maniac. And I just loved to drink and get stoned and fuck and do all the things that you don't want your daughter doing. And I was in my senior year in high school and I had to quit, man. I wasn't liking this. The shit was bullshit. I was feeling very suicidal. I was like, this is ridiculous. It was awful. I was just done. I wasn't done enough though, but I was trying. And like I said in my sobriety video, I went to AA and NA. And in those meetings, I met my ballet teacher. I was like, holy shit, this poor guy was struggling. Who the fuck knew? And we talked. And he said, I was so upset when you left. You were my best student. Of course, in my 17-year-old addicted mind, I was like, you asshole. Why didn't you say something? I would have been even better. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care if you're 11 years old or 61 years old. Exterior validation has nothing to do with you achieving your goal. If you are going to rely on what other people think and say, and whether they validate you or not, you're not going to become who you want to be. You just won't. It's just not possible. Now, I'm not talking about becoming a complete sociopath or a narcissist in any way, shape, or form. It's okay to want the validation, but in order to make actions based on the lack of validation is your fault. It has nothing to do with it. Me not becoming a little mini ballerina and having that as part of what my life was going to be like. Not that I was going to go and be a ballerina to get paid, like to do shows and shit like that. No, I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted to have the background and the physical discipline. That's what I wanted when I was 11 years old. That's what I wanted out of it. But gosh dang it, I wasn't going to do it if I couldn't get validated in it. So who failed there? Imagine what my life would have been like if I practiced ballet until I was 18 years old. Maybe my high school years wouldn't have been so fucked up. Maybe I wouldn't have saw my ballet teacher at a meeting more than once and had long conversations with him. I think I even had him be my sponsor at one point. But it was too hard. So you don't need any validation from anyone or anything to achieve your goals. It's okay to desire it, and it's certainly okay to get it. But it cannot deter you from where you're going. It cannot. It should not. You are not acting and living in faith if you do that. And it doesn't even matter how old you are. Just saying. And that's a really great example of that. Um, I was reading the Bible this morning. I'm going to attach it to this because I feel like this kind of goes. I don't know. Let me think real quick. It's being disobedient. Okay, so this is where it goes. When you are looking for the validation from other people, you never know who you're dealing with, and you never know if that validation is correct. And this, we're going to go with your relationship with God here on this. So I was reading today. What was I reading? What book was I reading? I'm in Kings chapter 12, 1 Kings chapter 12, I think. I'm going to pull it up so I can tell you, so you can go look it up and see what you see. Because what I saw was like, what? And it wasn't brought back up. It wasn't pointed out. But I pointed it out because that's what I saw. So I could be completely crazy. Where am I? Oh my gosh, so I actually had notes today. Sometimes I don't have anything to say. So it was in 1 Kings chapter 12 and 13. I didn't write down verses, but there was a man of God that was told by God to go to where Jeroboam, I can't pronounce his name. This is after Solomon passed, okay? And to tell him to turn from his ways. They were worshiping calves, I guess, 2 golden calves. And one of the directions that God gave him was don't have any bread and don't have any water there. Do not leave there the way you went in. Don't do it. Just when you're done saying what you got to say, move on. Don't eat and drink there. And don't go the way you came in. So don't be predictable. And the guy said, okay, I got this. And he did. And he went and told the people, and they were like, oh, well, too bad, so sad. And he's like, all right, see you later, goodbye. And one of the prophets in the area heard that this guy was there. And I guess he wanted to sit with him. I don't know if this is nefarious. I really think that's the end of it in the Bible, like this little story. I don't know if it was nefarious at all, but it was deceitful and he lied. And that's what it said. And he lied. He told the guy, the man of God, we're going to call him, that God talked to him, the prophet, saying, because he had asked him, come, let me feed you and get you some water. And he said, no, God told me not to have bread or to have water to leave. And he said, well, I'm a prophet like you. And God told me that to invite you over to have some bread and some water. And so he did. And he lied. God didn't tell him that. He lied. So I don't know what the intentions were. If he would just want to sit and talk with a man of God and talk. Or did he think that he was going to gain favor with God because he gave bread and water to a man of God? I don't know. It doesn't discuss that. So the man of God went to the prophet's house and ate and drank water. Then all of a sudden, God spoke to the prophet and told him to tell the man of God that he had done fucked up. That his bones will not lay with his father's. Something like that. What? And so the prophet's like, oh gosh, I have to say this. And so he does. And the man of God's like, what? Okay. Oh no. Like, he told me not to stop and drink. He told me not to stop and have any bread. He told me not to come in or to leave the way he came in. Not to spend any time after he was done with what he had to do, just to go. And who knows what was going through his mind as he moved on. But he was on his ass and like the animal going down the road. Who knows what he's thinking? He might be like, oh my goodness. Oh, please, Heavenly Father. I don't know. But upon his walk, on his donkey, here comes a lion. The lion kills him, tosses him, or however, whatever happens, into the road. The lion sits there with the donkey. People walk by like, what is going on there? The lion did not eat him. Somebody went and told the prophet, and the prophet's like, oh my gosh, I tricked him and he died. And he was very repentant and very sad. And I think he made sure that he was buried correctly and that all that stuff. But what's the point of that? The point of that is the man of God was not obedient. If God wanted him to stop to speak with the prophet and have bread and water, he would have told him himself. So you might get deceived on your way, even by the most wonderful people, people that do not mean you harm. Do not rest in the validation of others. Okay? Don't. You will hurt yourself. I get it. I totally get it. I understand. But you don't have to do it. Okay? So, what are we going to end here? So, I want you to look up this quote by Nietzsche. I'm not sure. But he said something like, and I was going to quote it. Maybe I'll put it in the description along with the video link to go watch Jason and hear it out from him. He's going to mention a couple of names. Wallace D. Wattles, James Allen, and Neville Goddard. I also think you should look into some Carl Jung, but we'll get into that another time. Once something becomes clear, it no longer concerns us. Confusion concerns us. Clarity stops concerning us. We move on to the next confusion or desire. That's what we do. So, have a really good memory about achieving your goal now. Everything will line up. And if you behave in the way that you would behave if those things were true right now, regardless of validation or external circumstances, God's going to bless you with it. So, and be obedient. Be obedient. So that's it. We got 42 minutes. Thank goodness Jason's video, I think it's like 17, and he can be windy. So I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me again. I didn't expect it to go so long, but I had some things to share that connects to it. And I shared some of the stuff I read in the Bible this morning. I'd love you to go check it out. If you go check it out, are you reading what I read? It was just disobedience and thinking somebody else had the authority to tell him what to do. I think it matters. So, that being said, I'm going to go. I'm kind of hungry. I broke fast pretty like 11:30. Yesterday I broke fast at 3:30. I'm getting kind of hungry. I don't know. Well, I'll talk to you later. Maybe I'll make a vlog about my way of eating later on after dinner. See you later, alligators. Love you a long time. I'll see you tomorrow or later or whatever. Thank you so much.